Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It is time to look at the astrology and Kabbalah of the last month of 2023, December 2023. And it has been quite the year, has it not? And 2024 is going to be another quite the year, but maybe even more quite than this year. So let's get started and look at this last month in December. Okay. All right. Let's make this a little bigger for both of us. All right. So we are now in December 2023. We're going to be looking at the numerology, the paths of life on the tree of life that get activated this month, and just a quick astrology overview. I'll get into the nuts and bolts of the astrology in a separate video. So we're in December, and of course, December is the 12th month, but we are in a 7 universal year. And every month I've talked about this 7 universal year. So we have the 7th universe, the 7 universal year falls on the tree of life on this path right here between Bina, which is connected to the planet Saturn. We have Saturn in Pisces right now, and to Gebura, which is the Sephiroth of Mars. Now in December of 2023, Mars spends the whole month in the sign of Sagittarius. So we can see that the energy of this month along this path is mutable. Mutability means changeability. So this is an opportunity for some profound changing. Now, this path is called the 18th path, known as the intelligence of the house of influence. This is the path that connects Bina, the divine feminine, with Gebura, the adjuster. The chariot is the vehicle of the force of spirit. A vehicle carries, conveys, or expresses the human personality as the vehicle for the expression of the soul. And so all year, we've been in a 7 year all year, and this has been the journey, the path, and kind of the outcome for this year. Says you are moving onto a new path, which involves the essence of your spirit. So that's kind of exciting. Learning the effective use of the power of words, deeds, and symbols this year. There is a mystery associated with this path, and the mystery states that forms act as a limitation, but it is not. It is a protection. Form is the ring not pass, a finite field of activity in which the force of spirit resides. New force will dissolve old forms. This is the creative process. You are the creative force. And so what has happened this year is that we have both been activated and we've had to go through some profound changes and shifts in a way to streamline our lives so that the force of the soul and the force of spirit can work through us. This path is connected with the Hebrew letter Kath. I think that's how it's said. You can correct my Hebrew if you want. Excuse me. Excuse me. Which means fence. Fence. Now, I did look to see if there were any exact aspects between Saturn and Mars this month, and there are not. Okay, there are not. So there's nothing specifically astrologically that would necessarily point to this. Now, of course, this path, this 7 path is the accumulation of all 12 months. And so it's possible that there isn't something specifically happening this month with that vibration. However, if you are 7, if you have a 7 in your major numbers, how would you know that? Well, you would have to you'd have to do your numerology. And if you would, you could do that with me, because I do a reading that takes in the numerology, the tree of life, and your astrology. If we look here to the at the chariot card, I do love this chariot card. Um, we can see that the charioteer has armor on. This is the armor of the personality. Armor of the personality. This is associated with the sign of Cancer. So cancers are it's been a very active year for people who have Cancer prominent in their chart. And of course, we know that the United States is a Cancer country, and so is Canada. And there are probably other Cancer countries there as well, but those are the ones that sort of come to mind really quickly for me. We can see that there's a white horse and a black horse. This is also seen in the high priestess, where we have the one pillar that is dark and one pillar that is light. It reminds us that we are moving into the nature of reality is a dual nature. And we can see that the charioteer here in this particular picture doesn't have reins, doesn't hold on to the reins, because it's the soul that's moving things forward here. And we can see the stars above here, knowing that we are connected to heaven, and we are and then down here, it looks like we have some astrological symbols and the like, and these are the energies that we get to utilize in this lifetime, the planetary energies, and then the astrological energies associated with that. All right, so if we look at the monthly vibration, December is the 12th month. And so we look at the vibration of 12 on the tree of life, and that's found here on the path between Geburah, the Sephiroth of Mars, and Hod, the Sephiroth of Mercury. Now, during this month, we have Mars, as I said, in Sagittarius, and we have Mercury spend some time in Capricorn and some time in Saturn. Sagittarius. Sorry, Sag. Sagittarius. Whoops. Let's go back. When I want it, when I want it to move forward, it doesn't move forward. And when I don't want it to move forward, it magically moves forward. I don't know. Anyway, so this is called the 23rd path, the stable intelligence. It is associated with the Hanged Man card, and we all are pretty familiar with this one. The hangman represents the suspended mind, the path that connects Geburah, severity, with Hod, splendor. The hanged man immerses himself in water, the element of deep understanding. On this path, the hanged man must experience the dissolution of former patterns in order to evolve. Here we reconsider our relationship to the outer world by running it through our inner filters in connection with the great cosmic sea of consciousness. We are forced to see things from a different perspective. Here, the mind becomes a clear, receptive vehicle, opening with pure, unfettered, and unclouded universal mind. And the Hebrew letter associated with this path is Mayim, which is water. This is one of the elemental paths. There are 3 elemental paths. This one associated with water, Mayim. Then there's Aleph, which is the path that connects Kether to Hokmah, that is air. And then we have fire, which is located here on this path, which connects Hod to Malkuth. This path is also associated with the planet Pluto, transformational, like fire. What is that? A journey through fire, right? Transformational. This path, the water path, as it were, is a path of going with the flow. And we will have to go with the flow, because we are flowing into a new energy come 2024. It's important to understand that there are certain things that you're going to have to bear witness to in December that could upset you. But you need to look at them from a different perspective. You need to turn it on its head, because there's only the only thing you could, what the 12 in this path kind of teaches us is that, what you have control over and what you don't have control over. Very often, I associate this path with the serenity prayer. And really, the only thing we have control over is how we react and respond to situations that are out of our control. And we're going to have that experience this month. Now, as far as astrologically, is there a specific thing happening astrologically between Mars and Mercury? And we ask that question because this is the path that connects those two Sephiroth. And in fact, we do have on the 27th, the end of the month, on the 27th of December, we have Mercury make a conjunction to Mars at 25 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, Mercury is retrograde at this point in the month. So the answers, Mercury in Sagittarius, come from within. Okay, we will have a conversation with ourselves and say, does this work for me? Does that work for me? Does this work for me? Does that work for me? Right. And then it's conjunct Mars, which is the planet of action. And so this is a deeply considered time about what is the next action that you're going to take when it comes to what you believe to be true, Sagittarius. Okay. Sagittarius is an energy of a broad perspective. It's also an energy that deals with how other people live and other people's lives. It's very much sort of a worldview kind of energy, as opposed to a more parochial view that we get with the energy of Gemini, which is the opposite sign of Sagittarius, but which is one of the signs ruled by Mercury, right? So we can see those connections here too. Really, we're trying to get our mind straight, so to speak, straight and set, and understanding, and not using necessarily the outer world to predict our next action, but getting the information from our inner world, which is really what the Hanged Man is all about, right? Our connection to divine consciousness. What messages are we getting through? And you might need to actually hang yourself upside down for this one. If you have some monkey bars near you and you're not going to kill yourself getting on the monkey bars, maybe it's a good time to hang upside down and look at the world in a different way. Maybe you can get one of those chairs that turn you upside down. They're actually used for your spine, if you have some disc issues or degenerative issues down there, to bring to traction your spine. So that would be good. And if you're a yoga person, then do a couple of headstands. I personally wouldn't do that. And there are no monkey bars close by. And then, of course, once I got on the monkey bars, I would definitely need help to get off the monkey bars. But that inversion chair actually sounds like a good idea. And I do know somebody who has one. So I think maybe I will try that out and see what comes to me. All right. And then we're looking at the next vibration, which is the 19 vibration. We get that by adding the universal year of 7 to the monthly year of 12, a monthly number of 12. And we get a 19-1. Now, this 19-1 path is located here on the Tree of Life. The 19-1 is a very special vibration. It's a karmic debt number, okay? And it is located between Hod and Yesod. Hod is the path of is the Sephiroth of Mercury, and Yesod is the path of the moon, and it is the sun. It's connected to the sun. And so I did look to see if Mercury and the sun were doing anything this month. And in fact, they are, because Mercury is retrograde. It does make a conjunction to the sun. It occurs on the 22nd of December. Vibrates to a 41.5. That's the Ace of Cups, right? Love, unconditional love pouring down from heaven kind of energy. And the 1 degree of Capricorn is a degree that speaks of the responsibility of the leader. And so you need to be responsible for where you're going. So let's look at the collective divine consciousness. This is the 30th path on the tree of life. It is the path that connects Hod, the thinking mind, with Yesod, the foundation. It's a time of revelation. The sun is always about something is revealed. Karmic number path, agreed before we incarnated to deal with the issues at hand. This we can find ourselves making a 180-degree change in direction. So we may have been going in one direction all year, and now at the end of the year, we say, you know what, I'm going to go this way. It is a time of illumination. It is the path of emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, um, do you understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling? Okay. You are reborn through attaining a singleness of mind. Through conscious self-identification with the one life, you are liberated from the limitations of physical matter and circumstances. The Hebrew letter associated with this is Resh, and Resh means face or head. And so this is about sort of getting your head straight, so to speak. All right. And let's take a look here. One of the things I want to note is that all the paths that are activated this month are connected to the pillar of the future, right? Here we have, and here's the pillars. This is severity, what's called destruction, Mercury, mercy, or creation. This is the pillar of the past, sort of what has been created, what we base ourselves on. And this is the pillar of the future. And it is connected by the 19-1 vibration to the middle pillar, or the pillar of the present moment. And so we can see Cancer, Neptune, and the Sun, Saturn, Mars, and Mercury, and the Moon become very important energies. But really what we're doing this month is we're setting ourselves up for 2024. We are on a new path, the 19-1 vibration of December 2023 says that it's time to go in a singular new direction. Okay, so let's take a look at the astrology. We're just going to go week by week at the major things happening here. The first week is, I'm going the first actually 9 days because the first week is very short in December. We have Mercury ingress into Capricorn on the 1st. And as soon as it moves into Capricorn, it makes a sextile to Saturn. Now, Capricorn is a Saturn-ruled sign. And this is a waning sextile. It's an opportunity for progressive change, progressive thinking. This gives common sense, self-discipline, and prudence. On the 3rd of December, Venus makes the last quarter square to Pluto. This is a crisis in consciousness square. It's a reorientation. Venus is what we value, what's important to us, and Pluto is power. So it's a reorientation of power. We also have on the 3rd, Mars making a waning in conjunct to Jupiter. Inconjuncts create crisis, but it requires an adjustment be made. And this is an adjustment on the actions you take based on your beliefs. On Monday, December 4th, Venus ingresses into Scorpio. She moves out of Libra, which she's been very happy to be in. Now she gets into bottom line Scorpio. Venus doesn't take prisoners in Scorpio. So although it's not always considered the best position for Venus, she certainly is going to be very thorough in Scorpio, and she's not above a little bit of revenge. So be aware of that. Of course, revenge doesn't really serve anybody, but there can be a tendency for that. So we might see that in the outer world. Venus on the 5th of December makes a waning trine to Saturn. This actually brings structure to Venus's plans, perhaps for whatever she's planning this month. Be aware of that. But this is a waning trine, so it is an opportunity to share what you know, to share your knowledge. On Wednesday, the 6th, Neptune stations direct. Neptune stations direct at 25 degrees of Pisces. This is one of the transpersonal planets, and it is anyway, when the transpersonal planets change direction, there's usually, you can see things in the outer world, but I think that we're going to see Neptune is more subtle, so we may not see it, but I do feel like there's going to be a giant wave of some sort happening this month. And is that an actual wave, like a tsunami? Is it an emotional wave, or is it a wave of compassion and a shifting in mass consciousness? I think the answer to all of that is yes. So we'll see how that works. Neptune, now on the Neptune actually on the tree of life is on this path here. And this path is the path of Pisces. Neptune's there, mass consciousness, but it is the path that connects the forces of nature to the planet. And so this, when this path gets activated, say with a Neptune station or aspects to Neptune, important aspects to Neptune here, we can definitely see some climate stuff. All right. On the 7th of December, Mercury trines Jupiter. Both this is a lovely energy to have with Mercury. And because we have Mercury stationing next week, the second week of December, stationing retrograde, this trine on the other side of the retrograde. So this trine, which would normally last like 2-3 days at the most, ends up lasting about a week, which is really good for us because it's a flow of energy and a flow of information. And it's the mind, the intuitive mind and the logical mind sort of running together here. And so we can glean a lot of information. It's again, the 12 is about like connecting with cosmic consciousness, and there's a lot of doorways for that this month. On Saturday, December 19th, we have Venus make an opposition to Jupiter, an awareness of our values and our beliefs. Okay, let me run through. So these are the charts, but this will be in a separate video in case you want to know what all this means. Okay, week number 2, which I'm calling week number 2, the 10th to the 16th, we have, to begin with, we have Mercury make a sextile to Venus. This is an opportunity to bring fresh ideas into your creative process. On Tuesday, the 12th, the Sun makes a waning in conjunct to Uranus. Uranus is about freedom. The Sun is about ego. But this is an adjustment needed, and it is an emotional adjustment. On the same day, we have the new moon at 21 degrees of Sag. This is a very powerful new moon. It is in conjunct, as all the new moons seem to have been connected to Uranus. It is in conjunct Uranus, this new moon. On the 13th, we have Mercury station retrograde at 9 degrees of Capricorn, stations retrograde. So this is the beginning of the Mercury retrograde. And Mercury will retrograde all the way back into Sagittarius this month. On Saturday, the 15th, we have the Sun making a last quarter square to Neptune. This is a crisis in faith, a crisis in faith. Now, if you happen to have your birthday on any of these days, these aspects will be in your solar return chart. So you can check that out. So crisis in faith, reorient, revise, and turn away. Turn away. And we'll get more into these aspects specifically when we get to the astrology. Oops, excuse me. Week 3, December 17th to the 23rd. we have Mercury trine Jupiter. Remember, I said Mercury trine Jupiter before the retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde. It's still trine. So the trine lasts, the exact trine really, and it will last after the exactitude because things are moving relatively slowly. But if we look back, when was that first trine? Sorry, let me go all the way back here, I think. Or did I miss? Oh, yeah. So we're talking about December 7th. We have our first trine. And then Mercury goes retrograde. And we have our second exact trine. Oops. Is it here? Nope. On the 18th. So that's 11 days. That's a lot of information. So we can expect a lot of information to come through. And we may not be able to do anything with it per se until Mercury goes direct, and that's going to happen in January. So there's a lot of information coming in that we'll be able to move forward in January. Excuse me 1 minute here. All right. On December 19th, we have the first quarter moon. This is the first quarter moon for the new moon in Sagittarius, crisis in action. And the action comes from a need to create new foundations for whatever seed was planted at that new moon in Sagittarius. On the 21st, we have Venus making an opposition to Uranus. This is culmination and illumination of the seeds that were planted at the initial conjunction of these two planets, which occurred back at the end of May. And that occurred at 17 degrees of Taurus, a symbolic battle between swords and torches. Swords are the mind, and torches are our intuition or our spirit. And spirit always overcomes the mind because the mind is something that our mental facilities is something that gets developed through our interaction with the physical manifested world. It's part of our construct to make sense of living on planet Earth, whereas spirit transcends that. Spirit is the initial spark of the divine. And so we have the spark of the divine, and then we have our mental capacity that we create in order to work in this dual nature of this duality that we find ourselves in. But ultimately, spirit overcomes the mind. And it's also a matter of a surrender of the ego to that which unites us, which is spirit, right? And which is love, because we live in a universe where we're learning about love. Okay. All right, let's see here. We have Mercury retrograde making a waning sextile to Saturn. Remember, on was it the second or third day, we had this sextile to Saturn with Mercury, only this time it's retrograde. So something that began at the beginning of the month maybe comes to review. And then we're going to have another Mercury trine, sextile Saturn once Mercury goes direct. And so this is, we'll get 3 opportunities to sort of move forward in this. And I believe that sextile happens in January. So again, this month is very much a preparation for the new. It is a 1. We're vibrating to a 1 this month, right? The 19-1. And it's like we're getting all our ducks in a row. So when 2024 comes around, we start to move into it quickly and with our plan already sort of set. On Thursday, the 21st, Mars makes a waning in conjunct to Uranus. We need to make some adjustments in the way we move forward, as it were. And then we have the sun's ingress into Capricorn, which of course is the beginning of this winter. In the northern hemisphere, it is the longest night and the shortest day. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the pinnacle, right? It's when the sun is at its highest point, and the days are longest. And then after the solstice, which means sun standing still, solstice, sun standing still, it starts to the light starts to decrease down in the southern hemisphere and increase in the northern hemisphere. On Friday, the 22nd, we have Mercury make a conjunction to the sun. This is the interior conjunction. This is looking for answers within. This is when the Mercury is actually closest to the Earth. So there's a lot of stuff out, just like a lot of noise, and it requires you to look within for the answers. And that occurs at 1 degree of Capricorn, and the symbol for that is an Indian chief claims power from the assembled tribe. This is really about the response. It's about leadership and the responsibility that comes with that, and the need to take it seriously. Take it seriously. Then we have, after that happens, Mercury backs into Sagittarius again. As it does, and then the last week, the fourth week, which is the 24th to the 31st. So this is like the holiday week, right? We have the sun making a waning sextile to Saturn. The sun in Capricorn. We had Mercury right now. The sun is there. The sun makes a waning. So this is progressive change. This is this gives patience, perseverance, and a strong work ethic, and an excellent time to meet your goals. And the energy of the sextile in itself, if we take away the sun and Saturn, and just the energy of the sextile, is about progressive change. And so as we, at the end of this and all the experiences that we've had, it's not about going back to the old ways. It really is about moving into a whole new way. And we have to remember that Pluto is going to be moving back into Aquarius. And so we're saying goodbye to the old ways and the old paradigm, and we're moving into a whole new paradigm. And so we kind of have to streamline ourselves, because Pluto in Aquarius is going to be very different than Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto's in Aquarius for 20 years, and we're just starting this journey. So it's pretty exciting time to be alive, and certainly very interesting. On the 25th, which is Christmas, for those of us who celebrate Christmas, we have Venus making a waning trine to Neptune. This is a flow. Venus, of course, in the sign of Scorpio, Neptune in the sign of Pisces. You can be led by high-minded ideals and principles within relationships. This can be very healing. It can be a tad delusional when Venus and Neptune together. We can be more idealistic than not. But I think a little idealism and a little hope, or quite a bit of hope, is called for at this time. On the 26th of December, we have the full moon. This full moon happens to be in Cancer. So we have some really pretty powerful energies here. Wednesday, the 27th, Mercury makes a square to Neptune. This can be very confusing in how to move forward. There can be misunderstandings. And so we need to be careful about that. We have also on that day, the sun making a trine to Jupiter. These are the two largest planetary bodies in the solar system. Come on in, Charlie. Push open. Come on in. Charlie is at the door complaining because his daddy went to the grocery store, and now he's alone in the house, except he's not, because I'm here, but the door is closed, so he's upset. Okay, you don't need to know that. Sun trine Jupiter, sunny and optimistic combination. Along with that Mercury square Neptune, it's one of those days where there's good and there's, challenges. And then we also have one of the more important things that happened this month, Mercury conjunct Mars at 25 degrees of Sag. And the symbol for that, and I'm going to read this to you, although I haven't read many of these, but I'll read this one. A chubby boy on a hobby horse. The keynote is the anticipatory enjoyment of powers that can only as yet dream of utilizing. So this is really a way to sort of visualize the future and the hopes for the future. On the 28th of December, we have Mars making a last quarter square to Neptune. Of course, when Mars and Neptune get together, there can be difficulty in finding your way forward. There's a certain amount of faith that this tests our faith. And also, if you're driving, be careful of fog. Be careful of fog at this time. This brings low energy, suspicion, deceit, lies, and scandal. It is normal to feel weak and discouraged under this confusing aspect. So there's like really great, so there's a lot of like great inspirational ideas, and at the same time there's confusion. So we're going to sort of go back and forth. And remember, this is a monthly vibration where we kind of have to see what we can affect and what we can't, and the wisdom to know the difference on that. Friday, December 29th, Venus makes a waning sextile to Pluto. This is it makes you passionate about love and the things that you love. And these waning sextiles are all about humanitarian endeavor. So I think that December is going to be much more an evaluation of how we need to do things differently. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to miraculously change, because we're still trying to work through. We still have Pluto in Capricorn, and we're going to have Pluto in Capricorn in 2024 for about 3 months or 2.5 months in the fall, in the early and late fall. So we still have some things to work out with this Capricorn energy, which is the hierarchy, right? And power, the powerful at the top, and the not so powerful at the bottom. But once Aquarius comes in, that hierarchy, it goes from this to this. And so that is a whole different sort of energy that we're going to have to learn how to work with. We also have Venus ingress into Sag on the 29th. And then on the 30th, we have Jupiter stationing direct. So when we end this month, we only have 2 planets retrograde: Mercury, which will go direct on the 2nd of January, and Uranus, which goes direct, I think, on the 24th of January, or towards the end of January. And once that goes direct, everything will be direct. And so things are really going to speed up at the end of January. And we will be definitely head first, feet first, arms first, swan dive, belly flop, whatever you want to call it, and whatever your thing is, cannonball. That's mine. I do the cannonball into the seas of 2024, which is an 8 vibration, which on the tree of life sits right here on the tree of life, the 8, and energetically it's located in the throat. And so there's going to be a lot said, but it is also the place where the divine speaks through us and works through us. And so if we can align ourselves with our divine nature, 2024 is not going to be nearly as scary as people are purporting it to be. We are reaping what we've sown in 2024. So you know what you've done, and you know what others have done. And as above, so below, as within, so without, and as you sow, so shall you reap. All right, well, let's get out of this. All right, so hopefully you got some good information from this. If you would like to be a patron of mine, I do have a Patreon page. If you would like a reading to see what's up for the new year, or even what's up for December, I do have availability, believe it or not. And it's also a great gift to yourself or to someone else. Self-knowledge is invaluable. Um, I want you to have a wonderful month, and everything's going to be all right. Mm, 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 mm. Take care, everyone, and much love to you. Thank you for following me, for all the attention, and for listening to my words. Hopefully, you have found them helpful and enlightening. And I'll be here in 2024, God, Goddess willing. And until till the next time, which probably won't be, which should be soon, I'll see you again. Much love, everyone. Namaste.